Welcome to the first episode of Season 6 of the Joust About Careers podcast. This is the place to learn about careers from the people who are actually doing the work every day. I'm your host, Brian Bratt, and this week's guest is 2015 Van Buren graduate Essma Kheiry, a creative production manager at Forge Biologics. In this episode, Essma shares how her career is a mix of graphic arts and film, how internships helped her figure out what she did and didn't want as a career, the value of certifications, and much more. Whether you are interested in a career mixing graphic arts and film or are still exploring your options, I hope that what Essma shares today will help all of you make better career decisions and have fulfilling career journeys. Enjoy the show. Essma, thank you very much for joining us today to talk about your career. So I'd like to start by just finding out more about how a typical day looks for a creative production manager at Forge Biologics.
Sure, thanks for having me. My days tend to vary quite a bit, mostly because I do such a big variety of things at work. I do design, I do video production, and I do photography. So depending on the week, I will set up for our headshots for our new hires. We do those every other Monday. I'll have sometimes set up for a video shoot and do an interview. And then those are just on heavy production days, which I'm in office Monday through Wednesday, and then work from home Thursday, Friday, which are usually my big editing days where I'm putting together the videos that I shot, editing the photos for people's headshots, or doing any design work that needs to be done.
Okay. So I know you worked at Marathon for a while before this. Was that similar as far as there were days when you were in the office and not in the office, or completely different?
Completely different. It was one, it was a different company culture there, so it was all in office. There was no, and this was before COVID, so it was a fully in-person job, and I only did video production when I was at Marathon, so it was more heavy on the video shoots and then the editing. So, and then I didn't start doing design until I started working at Forge.
Okay. So when you say design, are you talking graphic design? Are you talking website design?
It's graphic design. I work a little bit with our website designers to get them some assets for the website, but in general, they handle website design. I don't know any like coding or anything like that. It's generally just designs for social media, for presentations, for pamphlets, posters around the office, stuff like that.
Okay. Now, you talked about, getting headshots of new employees, things like that. Do you have your own little studio there at Forge Biologics, or?
Unfortunately, no. We have a temporary setup, so we have to kind of set up and tear down our backdrop every time we do headshots. We just don't have a space in the, we keep talking about maybe eventually getting a space, but we don't have one yet. At Marathon, we had our own studio for video production and photos, and that made it a lot easier to set things up.
Right. Are there multiple people doing those things along with you, or are you a one-person shop?
Yes, I have a coworker, John McKenzie. He is much older than I, has much more experience. He worked at a university doing video production for a very long time. So he mainly does video production, 360 video, which we have a VR headset that we take to conferences to show kind of our facility and everything. So he handles most of the 360 video, the time lapses of the office and stuff like that.
Okay, very interesting. So you have a lot of variety, it sounds like. You've got the flexibility of being in office, working from home some days. As you look back and think back 10 years to when you were in high school and getting ready to graduate from Van Buren, is this where you saw yourself 10 years after high school, or what were your plans for your career when you were graduating?
I remember not being very sure when I graduated, because I went to BG planning on doing graphic design. And then I got like cold feet at the last second and switched to film production because I wanted to do something a little bit more creative. Graphic design I always thought was going to be so corporate-y and not fun. So I switched to film production, which I still ended up being in the corporate world anyway. So you see how well that worked out for me. But I love graphic design more than anything. So I ended up in a roundabout way coming back to what I had originally planned on doing. But I think I just needed to have that varied experience of doing the video production and photography, because that's the only way I would have landed where I am now, is having the full-fledged experience. Because a lot of places want you to have video, photo, and design these days. They want you to be able to do it all. So
Right. Well, yeah. So you made yourself more well-rounded, which has
yeah.
served you well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I noticed that you spent a summer in college. You worked as a gaffer on a film for One Stoplight Productions. Now, I will
Yes.
say I have seen, obviously, probably thousands of movies over the course of my life. In the credits, I always see gaffer. What does a gaffer do?
So a gaffer basically just does the lighting. They set up the lights, they run all the power for all the lights, and adjust things as the director needs and stuff like that. It's basically just a fancy word for saying doing lighting.
Okay. So how did you get involved with that? And then how has that experience, contributed to you being where you are today?
Yeah. How did I get into that? Oh, so okay. So I worked at Papa John's in college, which you wouldn't think I would get a film lead job working there. But one of my coworkers who worked there, he was also a film production major, and he had interned with this production company. They're based out of Toledo. And he put me in touch with them, and they reached out asking if I wanted to do work on a short video just in my spare time, which I did. And they liked my work, and so they offered a full-time, well, not full-time, but a position on the movie shoot for the summer. So they're very, very tiny indie film, mostly doing horror films. Or short films, and so this was a very, very micro budget film that I worked on. It was a 2-week shoot at a camp in Michigan. Yeah, so it just kind of the connections I made through Papa John's somehow led me to working on the film.
Right. Isn't that amazing how
Yeah.
just, yeah, knowing somebody
Mm-hmm.
99% of the time, that is what leads to those opportunities. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, you'd set yourself up with your college major and so forth. But being in the right place at the right time, being prepared for that, very cool. So, that internship, you also had one with WTOL in
Mm-hmm.
Toledo, television station. You went to a school in Italy for a couple weeks. Um, Obviously, a lot of opportunities to get experience. Anything that came out of the television or the trip to Italy that was especially useful as you continued your career journey?
Yeah, definitely. W2L, the main thing I learned is that I didn't want to do news.
Okay.
I really didn't like it. It was really good experience, like the camera work and everything, but it was just very fast paced, turn out stories, not really focusing on the quality of the work you're doing, just turning out a story. So
Right, right.
I didn't enjoy that experience. I know some people love it. I knew some people there who were very talented, but it was not for me. Uh, so that's the main thing I took out of that. Italy was one of my favorite experiences I've had. One, because I was in Florence for 2 weeks, but two, because it was basically making social media and website content for the university that was there. And that was the first time I had my own camera. I went out and did my own shoots from start to finish, and really took ownership of some of the projects that they did, and turned out some work that I was really proud of at the time. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, like you said, just getting to be in Italy would be
yeah,
very cool.
it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And again, those experiences, to go to WTOL, not know what to expect. You did it, you learned, found
Hmm.
out you didn't really love it.
Yeah.
That experience was still valuable,
Oh,
even
absolutely.
though
Yeah.
you didn't end up going that direction.
I'm very glad I did it, even though I didn't end up enjoying it. It was a short term thing. It was an unpaid internship, but the experience was definitely invaluable.
Right. Now, looking at your LinkedIn profile, you then, after college, worked at Marathon for a couple of years,
Hmm.
and then it looks like there that you then took an internship with Forge Biologics, where you currently work. Now, I don't know of a whole lot of people that I've seen that have full-time employment and then they go do an internship. Can you talk about what led you to that decision?
Yeah, definitely. So it was a weird transition. I basically was really wanting to move to the Columbus area. I wasn't loving my current job and just doing video. I wanted something a little bit more creative. I did a graduate certificate online in communications, and so once I finished that certificate, I had applied to a bunch of different jobs and a couple of internships along the lines of more communications. And so I got this internship at Forge of media and communications intern.
Okay.
So it was kind of coming out of that graduate certificate, which is just like 3 classes of a graduate degree, rather than a full graduate degree. But honestly, taking an internship after doing that and after working full time was kind of a big risk. And I know a lot of people in my life who are like, that's a bad idea, especially if you're moving to Columbus for that. But I had a really good vibe with my future boss who I had interviewed with. And they said that there was opportunity for full time work after the internship was up, which luckily about a month into the internship, they offered me the full-time job after I
Oh,
was done with the internship. And so I went right into working as a production associate manager of production.
okay. So, yeah, so it was a calculated risk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, you bet on yourself that, hey, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to do a good job, show them that I am someone that they want to hire full time, and
Hmm.
ultimately that's what happened. So that's good. I
Yeah.
think that's what everyone should aspire to do.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, you talked about that graduate certificate on your LinkedIn page. You have a lot of certifications. One that
Hmm.
really caught my eye was you even at one point had a remote pilot for small unmanned aircraft system certification. So, all of those certifications that you have, Adobe and Photoshop and Fresco
Hmm.
and all of that, could a person get into this field with just certifications, or do you feel like the 4 year degree or a 2 year degree is necessary? What are your thoughts on that?
Um, a lot of times a degree just gets you looked at, for interviewers in this field. At least in my experience, you have to have the degree for them to say, okay, I'll look at your work and make sure that your work is up to snuff, and that I like the work that you do.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, if you're established, if you do freelancing, if you have examples of good work on your website, there's still definitely a chance of you getting into it. I just do really think that the degree is worth it just for having it on your resume and the connections you'll make.
Right, right. So back to that unmanned aircraft systems. So we're
Yeah.
talking about drones, right?
Yes, yeah, it's a drone certification. So in order to operate drones commercially for your job, you have to have a certification, and then you just have to take a course every 2 years, I believe, to keep up with it, which I have. So I'm still certified to do drone. I do drone video and photography.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Is that a difficult certification to earn? Or is it okay?
It was if you study really hard, you'll be fine. That you just have to know, take the courses that they have online, even if they're paid courses leading up to it, because they have like trick questions kind of in there. Like they take it really seriously. They want to make sure you've been paying attention and you know your
Right,
stuff, because you're working in airfields and in airspace, and all that stuff is very very regulated. So
right, right.
it's a hard test, but once you have the test and once you're doing kind of just the refresher courses every 2 years, it's very easy to maintain. So
Okay.
I think it's worth it to do. It just will take a good amount of commitment.
Right, right. Well, and that provides you with, again, another avenue to gather the
Hmm.
video and pictures and all of that you need to use. So I could see, flying a drone could be a little bit challenging at times. Can you talk a little bit about if someone wanted to get into this field, what are the really, really good parts of it? And what are some of those challenging aspects that they need to be aware of before taking the leap?
Yeah, I think a lot of people go into video and photography wanting to have it be a creative outlet, but I think not enough people know that it's a very technical field. Like you have to know um, a lot of different technical aspects of getting the lighting and everything correct, exposure in the camera, and I know I was surprised. You can't just point a camera at something and shoot it and it's going to turn out great. I mean, occasionally you can, sometimes you can, but there's a lot of technical aspects that you have to learn about
Right.
just getting into it. And I think drone flight is. I always found it easy because I played a lot of video games, like in high school and college. I still do, and so I find it very easy. But they also have a lot of like guides for you. Like there's obstacle avoidance; it's not going to crash on you.
Mm-hmm.
It'll land itself if it's low on battery. So you have to try really hard to crash a drone. So
Yeah.
it's challenging. It's challenging to learn how to make it smooth and look good in video. But
Right.
It's hard to mess it up too bad.
Okay. Okay. So what are those really good aspects of it that make you love going to work every day?
I get a lot of freedom with my creativity with my vice president of marketing. She will give me a concept and just like a couple of little ideas, and she gives me complete freedom to take those ideas and make a branding campaign out of it. And generally, she's pretty happy with what I make. But it's really nice being able to kind of just like flex that creativity and imagination part of it, which I didn't expect to be able to do in design, because a lot of times corporations are very, very limited in what they will allow you to do, how
Right.
they will allow you to kind of twist the branding and everything like that. So Forge, luckily, is very I want to say progressive in that way, because in the biotech industry in general, a lot of places are very they are very set in their ways, and as a new company up and coming, our flexibility with our branding has made us stand out. So
Right, right. Well, those companies have put a lot of money and time into those brands, so they are going to
yes,
definitely be protective of them. But
yes,
if they have someone that they trust and um, know that are going to make the company look good, then obviously, yeah, I'm sure they encourage that creativity. So, as you think about someone heading into the film industry, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's a company like Forge Biologics, what advice would you give to that person?
a lot of people, including myself, come out of a film production degree wanting to kind of go to Hollywood and maybe be a director or do something like that right off the bat. But there's a lot of, you have to kind of put in the grunt work almost of, doing the lighting projects where you're not really doing anything creative. You're following what the director says, doing the lighting, doing the not fun things until you make enough connections and get up enough cred basically to get those higher positions.
So, as with anything, it just takes
Yes.
that time and
hmm
experimenting and getting those experiences to eventually lead to that. Is that anything you would still consider? If everything, getting the experience you're getting now, and would you ever see yourself being a director, going to Hollywood if that opportunity presented itself?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. It would have to be a very specific thing that like really just handed itself to me, because I'm not going to go out looking for anything like that.
Okay, right.
I really like my job. I like the security of it. I don't think I'd ever, want to take the risk of going to Hollywood or trying to do anything like that. But I love the people I work with most of all
Good,
too.
good.
So my boss is great. Which I'm I don't think I can ever go anywhere else, because I like working with my boss so much. I'm like, I don't think I could do it with another person.
Right.
So
Well, and yeah, the people that you work with definitely
Mhm.
matters. And so that's awesome that you do have good relationships with all of those people. And so as we wrap up and we think and you look back at where you were 10 years ago as a high school
Mhm.
student, what do you know now about careers that you wish you had known when you were in high school?
Maybe just that. all jobs, no matter how awesome they are, they just kind of suck sometimes. Like you're always going to have something that you don't absolutely love doing that you just have to do, and you just got to suck it up and do it.
Okay, so no such thing as the perfect job that is perfect all the time in every way.
Exactly.
There's always going to be something that probably won't like, but you're willing to live with it because so many other parts are good.
Exactly.
Essma, I really appreciate you sharing about your career. Sounds like you're having a really enjoyable time doing it. And I hope that if there's any students out there that think they might want to get into the film industry or create the creative industry, graphic design, etc., I hope they'll reach out to you for questions. So thank you very much, and good luck as you continue your career journey.
Thanks for having me.
If you liked this Joust About Careers episode, you can explore previous episodes and highlights to learn about even more careers of Van Buren graduates. To be sure you don't miss upcoming episodes, please click subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform so you'll know when the next episode is released. Thank you for spending a portion of your day with us, and we hope you will continue to prepare for your future by learning just about careers.